Hardware tech is best tech.
Hardware tech, best tech. All right. Yeah, we don't have any new T-shirts. I don't even know why I'm advertising our T-shirts, unless you don't have one yet.
No, the T-shirt contest is also not over, so you should go and enter.
I need to put a link to that. There'll be a link to that. What I'm doing right now is, if you guys have really cool T-shirt designs, put them in that thing. I'm going to be finding a bunch of them. I found 2 of them today and contacted 2 people today. And the option here is that you guys can have $100, or you can have $100 worth of merchandise. So I think one of them's taking $100 and the other one's taking $100 worth of merch, and he's really excited. So I was like, cool, pick what you want, man. Mugs, cups, whatever. We'll ship it out. So pretty good options there, I think. Maybe, I don't know. It's fun, and I like the fact that soon we're going to have some community design stuff right here in the forum. And well, in fact, these things here are actually in fact designed by the Whiskey Ranger from the forum. So if you've seen him on there, say thanks very much for the awesome designs. We did the same sort of a deal with him back when, and yeah, cool. Also, you guys have a chance to win video games thanks to Digital Storm. Go over here. This is not open yet because the video is whatever. But you guys have a few more days to enter this contest. But every week they're going to be giving away a game valued at $59 or less. So just go over there. I guess $59 or fewer dollars. Yeah, I don't know. Go over there and enter that contest. It'll be fun. And also check out Digital Storm's custom gaming rigs. And now let's get on to the regularly scheduled tech by first talking about quantum computers. Google says that they are going to be building a quantum computer. Now Google is in the race. And quantum computers are still in a point where they're still somewhat theoretical. And we've got the company up in Canada. I totally can't remember their name right now off the top of my head. But they have a computer that essentially has a quantum math coprocessor. So that's doing something. But what makes them so fast is traditionally we have binary computers. They rely on ones and zeros, whereas quantum computers can be a 1, 0 or a 1 and a 0 at the same time. They can be all sorts of different things. So it makes them way faster. We're talking hundreds of times faster than even the fastest computer in the world is a computer in China that can do 55 quadrillion calculations per second. A quantum computer, according to this article anyway, would be a lot faster. They say would make that look like a snail. So Apple is developing, I mean not Apple, yeah, you're right, Apple doesn't develop anything, do they? Oh.
Oh snap.
Fired. Oh snap. Apple just uses things that other people have developed and give it a nice coat of paint. So Google is going to be building this. I wonder what they're going to be using this for. This could be, I mean, I feel like quantum computing is the thing that really could make artificial intelligence a thing. You know, because right now it's not exactly a thing. There's stuff that seems pretty smart or seems pretty intelligent, but this would grant things true intelligence. I think if they, if you had a robot that had a quantum computer in its head, that would be kind of interesting. I don't know. You got to.
I think it's
any take on this?
It's going to be a quantum coprocessor for a while. Those companies was D-Wave Systems, and then D-Wave I think partnered with 1Qubit out of Vancouver, British Columbia. D-Wave. And so, Lockheed Martin's involved, and in early 2014, it was reported based on documents provided by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden that the U.S. National Security Agency is running a $79.7 million research program titled Penetrating Hard Targets with the aim of developing a quantum computer capable of breaking encryption vulnerable to the quantum speed-up. So the thing with a quantum computer is that the way that it does calculations is you have your inputs, you put them in, and then the configuration of bits is such that, how you can't know the position and velocity at the same time. Well, out of that comes a calculation, because the only way through the machine is through the solution. So you have a problem, and then it just sort of enters a superposition of all possible combinations, and then the solution pops out of the bottom, and this thing takes place instantaneously, more or less. Not really instantaneously, but, that's just, I'm sorry, that was a really terrible explanation. We'll just pretend I did that better.
Maybe we'd have better luck explaining the holographic universe theory.
we should actually do a, as fast as possible, quantum computing, as fast as possible, holographic universe.
Now you've just given Linus an idea. Now this guy's going to do it.
As fast as possible, gravitational lensing.
We should have our own separate channel for that kind of stuff. I mean, instead of doing refresh rates and stuff like that most of our audience probably already knows. I guess we'll let them learn over there, and then they can come here and you can do that.
I thought the footer of this was really interesting because it's not that Google is giving up on D-Wave. The online statement said that Google's quantum research, that the two companies will continue to work together, and that Google's D-Wave computer will be upgraded to a new 1,000 qubit processor when it becomes available. So this is perhaps an instance of they're not moving fast enough for Google. Google gets it now, and they think their engineers have a way of dealing with this, which is really scary because Google has a lot of smart guys working for them, and as long as that continues to be the case, there's probably no problem they can't solve given enough time.
All right, let's talk about this new Samsung VR kit. So Samsung has this new VR kit that you basically pop the Note 4 in. I think we talked about this before. But the interesting thing that we're going to bring up here is now they are working with Oculus, and you'll be able to run the Oculus software right here on the Note 4. And reports are that the Note is actually pretty snappy. It's not too bad. It seems like it's in real time. What I don't know, and I'm not sure if they mentioned this in the article, someone, maybe I missed it here in the article, but I want to know if this is going to work as like an Oculus solution. You know what I mean? It seems like the Oculus technology and the hardware need to be two separate things. I think that their software is what's going to be valuable in the long run, not so much their hardware. Because, I mean, in a couple of years, if you could, use a cell phone like this almost as a dummy screen or a dummy device and then run it off your computer, or even, if the cell phones are fast enough, maybe you could just use the Oculus hardware and have the experience, play some games right there on Android. That would be interesting. But apparently the reports are that it's a very similar experience, and the screen is super high resolution. It's 2560 by 1440 on a 5.7 inch screen, so not bad. Interesting. That's the big news.
I'd like to know what wireless technology that they're using to send the signal to the screen, because it ain't Wi-Fi.
I think right now it's just coming from the Android. I don't think it's actually a dummy screen yet. So I think the thing that'll be really cool for me is when they actually send it to the signal to the screen. You'd have to have a USB plug in the side of your head or something. I mean, I guess you could do wireless in, but that would be very awkward and cumbersome, and it would probably take a lot of work to make that work seamlessly without having a lot of customer service issues and people calling in like, yeah, I turned it upside down and pressed these 4 buttons, and I don't know what's happening, and there's a red light blinking on my router. And it's like, what about your modem, sir? And it's unplugged.
There are a few companies that are finally putting decent hardware into Miracast adapters, and a surprising number of laptops and portables right now have built-in Miracast or Intel Wide-Eye wireless display built in, and that looks like that's going to work really well. But we don't know yet because we don't have anything that has been super stable as far as that goes yet.
All right, let's move on and talk about some really strange and creepy facial recognition technology. The Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, they've created the world's first real-time motion detection app for the Google Glass. Now, this app also seems to work on Android devices that have a decent camera, but let's go ahead and play this here so you guys can see what's going on. So essentially, it looks at a person, and it's able to start telling you what their mood is. It guesses their age. I imagine they can try to identify the person as well, but there's a lot of other features that they haven't exactly talked about yet. But all this is Google Glass. You walk up to someone, let's say you make a pass at somebody, and it's like, this person is annoyed. The app will it'd be great for people that are socially awkward. The app can just be like, this person is exacerbated. And then you have to be like, oh shit, Google, what does exacerbated mean? And then you're like, oh, all right. But I guess the weirder things here are that they can pick up on like micro expressions and that sort of thing. And they don't show that in this video. Go ahead.
Google is like, I was just thinking about their new slogan. And it's like, Google, helping nerds be sociopathic since 1998. or helping nerds be more sociopathic since 1998. I don't know. Because I can imagine this turning into a little game where somebody's just not even paying attention to what they're saying, but they're just trying to, it's like, oh, I need to get this score higher. It's not high enough. And it's like, let's not turn this into a micro game, shall we?
What's really interesting about this, let's go ahead and think about this in a grander scheme. So this technology, right? Let's just suppose that this technology starts being built into webcams, and this technology starts being built into Android devices and all kinds of things. Or let's just say that there's, how about this one? What if corporate America or just corporate world, you know, like everywhere that there are desk jobs. What if they start putting little webcams or little Android devices on the desks that give constant feedback of the person's feelings and mood? And let's say that at the end of the month they call you and they're like, we see that you're not happy with your job. What's the problem? Should we talk about this for a minute? Why are you unhappy? What are you doing wrong? What could possibly be causing this?
The problem with this has already been documented and lampooned, and it would take far too many words to explain when you can get the gist of it by watching a movie like Office Space. And then it's like, you know, the people in Office Space that are the main characters sort of act normally, and then there are the other corporate drones that act so strangely, and it's the uncanny valley of human behavior, and it's like, is there something wrong with me, or is there something wrong with them? Because I think there's something wrong with them. I don't think it's me. And that's the situation that you'll have with the Google Glass thing, because it's like, this is encouraging a certain kind of behavior, and it's like, well, no, I'm not a people person, and that's actually okay. Nina from Accounts Receivable, it's totally okay for me to want to murder her in her sleep. It's totally a fine thing. You know, like
it's a natural human thing. I mean, this kind of technology is it's going to happen, and it's going to be integrated everywhere. Marketing people are going to love this stuff. You know, like there'll be cameras on your Xbox, whatever, that's going to be able to. It's already happening, guys. So just get ready for it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. We're just gonna have to adjust and get ready for it. I don't, unless you want to live under a rock, or possibly, I don't know. I don't see any other way. This is just the next step forward in technology. We're gonna get to a point where privacy becomes something different, because our emotions, our ideas, our age, our gender, all that stuff is going to be just quickly decided by an app or a video camera or something like that.
Not really decided. I don't think decided is the right word. I think it's more like pigeonholed. I think everybody goes into a sort of Tony Robbins mode, and it's just so creepy. I don't understand. I don't understand how it's like, no, let me just get in there and solve your problem. Let me just get in there and understand what's going on. There's no need for this Tony Robbins nonsense. Let's just get it done.
The Amd Fx Cpus are here, and we just did a little video covering the new 8370 and the 8370E. And the bottom line here is that, okay, they've been doing this stuff for a while. They've got the same cores, the same 8-core FX pile driver stuff that we've been seeing for a long time. And now the 8370 is really going to be a good CPU in that price point. And then we've got the 8370E, which is like a lower power part. So, I mean, are these things really worth it? The 8370 is basically a nice version of the 8350, but it does overclock really well. At least mine did. Very, very, very easy to gain like 600-700 megahertz. No big deal. But, I mean, the big deal here is that they've brought the price down on everything, because that's really the only thing that's going to justify them, you know, rehashing this, re-releasing this, is that now they are even more affordable and even more attractive, and you can do a lot with the 8-core, especially when it comes to virtualization. You can do a lot with it. So we're going to be taking some harder looks at this stuff. The first look that I took, I'm pretty damn impressed with what you get for the money, and that's what I said in the video there. You guys can go take a look at it. But I don't know, did you want to chime in on anything on these new CPUs?
Yeah, the you know, X99's been out for a week now, and the awesome has worn off, and you have to understand the context of what, like, AMD is not really putting their resources into doing new, really high-end parts. The writing's kind of on the wall. You know, over like a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were talking about the downturn in desktop PC production. Everything was going portable, and, you know, Intel wasn't really doing a whole lot to refresh the 2011 line, because we were talking about the transition from Sandy Bridge to Ivy Bridge, and it's like, oh, you got the instructions per clock improvement. You know, with X99, there's again the instructions per clock improvement. They've moved from 6 cores to 8 cores on the desktop, but in the context of all the cool stuff that's been on the server platform, on Xeon platform, really Intel hasn't done much here. I mean, the Intel stuff on the server side is ludicrously expensive, and this stuff, while way more expensive than the normal desktop stuff has been in a long time, is relatively inexpensive on the Intel side in the context of the server stuff. But in terms of value per dollar, AMD's just, AMD's the winner here, especially for gaming and especially for this kind of stuff. I mean, we'll see. Like, we'll put the benchmarks together.
Yeah, we're about to test out the i5, and I've got a feeling the i5 is probably going to do better than a lot of these parts, but it's also $50-$60 more expensive. And now the 8350, the new MSRP on that's $179. You can expect some sales. You know, I would expect to see that thing on sale by Christmas for the 150 something price point, which is really crazy. You know, when you think of what you can get otherwise for $150. But I don't know. I'm expecting the i5 to do a pretty good job in most games and applications, but I don't know. We haven't done all the tests yet, so we'll see.
I've got an AMD 8350 Linux machine running virtual machines that I've had doing nothing but bitch work since the 8350 came out. It's been running pretty much continuously 24/7. You know, blah blah blah. It's had an overclock at various times in its life because I've just wondered what I could do. I can hit 5 gigahertz with it, but it drinks the power. And in terms of like performance per dollar for that system, even with launch day 8350 prices, it has been an unbelievable value. It's got 16 gigs of error correcting RAM in it. It has been, just because that's what I had, and it has been running like a champ. I really could not be happier with that platform. It is, you know, 8 cores for virtual machines and that kind of a workflow and the type of number crunching, or the type of computational crunching, I should say, that I'm doing on it. It works superlatively. It's really, really amazing. And so I think that in that sort of enthusiast category, there really is something there, because games aren't taking it. The X99 platform for gaming, I mean, unless you're doing like crazy stuff with Skyrim and you just want the most amazing thing in the world, that's not really the thing. For me, AMD should have done this 2 years ago. They should have had a 95 watt part on launch day, because let's face it, the problem with the 990 FX and the other chipsets that are AM3 Plus compatible has always been power delivery. It's like the Asus Formula 5 and like one other board are the only boards that could deliver like crazy amounts of power without having like a 20% chance of melting the motherboard within a year.
You know, I've got the AMD, when they sent over a couple of these CPUs, they sent the 9590, and they also sent the ASRock, it's the Fatality 990 FX Killer motherboard. So I'm assuming that one's going to work with the 9590. We haven't put that one in there. We've been focusing on the new parts, the 8370 parts, the 86 and the 8370E. But I'm really curious to see what the 9590 is going to do in that, you know, and I'm also curious to see how it's going to run, because the new price point on that one is only $229. And you're exactly right. Render farms are another thing that these things are good for. You know, like Pistol's brother Mike, we had him on the tech one time. He's an animator out in California. I believe he's doing some stuff on some Marvel movies right now. But he likes AMD, and I'm sure he cringes every time I go on about Intel stuff, because he uses a ton of AMD parts, and he just lets, I think he's doing like a render farm with them, and just lets them go all night with, you know, several different systems in a render farm using Linux. But I'm not sure if that's exactly what he does or not. But that's what I would do.
I'm running on the machine that I've had that's been running 24/7. I'm running an ASRock 990 FX, and it had a little bit of a problem delivering enough power to get the chip to run stable at 5 gigahertz, but you know, 4.5, 4.8, no problem at all. And you know, let's face it, when the 8350 first came out, who would have thought that you could actually get a 1 gigahertz overclock? But now we've got 95 watt TDP parts. It's the power delivery is not really a problem anymore with those. You're going to get what you're going to get on the overclock, and you're not going to be able to dump more voltage into it and get a good result, or at least a processor that'll last very long.
You know, cell phone cameras have come quite a long way, and the camera, especially like the one on the OnePlus One, it does some crazy 4K video. A lot of the travel footage from our some of our last travel videos that we did with Fractal and Sapphire and Private Internet Access and all of the Mayflower Electronics, all that stuff, a lot of that footage, I'd say maybe 1/8 of it was from the OnePlus One 4K video camera. It looked pretty crazy. Well, people are really getting serious about having decent quality on the go, so Sony decided they would just go ahead and destroy everyone by allowing you to clip a camera onto your smartphone, and then you're going to use your Android interface to take the pictures. Now, Google, they have done so much to improve just the camera functionality in Android. So now you can pretty much, I would expect a lot of professional cameras and some prosumer cameras that are coming out, I would expect them to be running Android, like just a full-on version of Android. I am so impressed by some of the professional apps, as far as like the control that I have over shutter, white balance, you know, just you have ridiculous amount of control. So Sony is taking that and they've added the camera onto the phone here. So they've got, as you can see, your little mount there that plugs into the phone, and then on top of that you mount a lens mount that also has a sensor in it. And this is an APS-C sized sensor. That's the same size that you would use in like a Canon 7D or something. So, or just almost any digital SLR other than the really, really, really expensive ones. We're talking like a nice large image sensor, 27.6 millimeters. And then you can mount any of your Sony lenses on there. It's, I believe, what's the mount? The E-mount lenses. You can just mount the lenses on there. This is some serious stuff for a phone. And I mean, you're going to, of course, have to carry around something else in your pocket, but something like this is a lot smaller than carrying, let's say, like an entire separate camera and a phone. You just take this out, snap it onto your phone, and you're good to go. It's going to cost $500 or $600, and then you got to buy your lenses too, so it's not for like people who just want to goof around on Instagram and that sort of thing. But I think this could be the thing that a lot of kind of pros who just want to always have a good camera on them, I think a lot of people are going to go for this. And I think this is also kind of a step in a new direction. We'll have to see if it catches on, you know, if people are going to want to do this or not. But I think the next couple of years we're going to see a lot of Android just cameras coming out. That's my opinion. It's my 2 cents. All right, what else we got to talk about here? Go ahead,
I think it's a gimmick and doomed to failure. But
you think
that's
so?
just Sony. Yeah. I mean, it's a cool concept, but interfacing to the phone and relying on that, it might be a hipster device, like you see somebody at Starbucks with one of these up to their ear with the giant lens sticking out of it. It's like, this is my camera phone. Like that's what would happen. But it's cool that there's a separate sensor. That's good. That's totally what's needed in this case. But I don't understand the whole clipping mechanism, why you would need that, and I would much rather have something that's wireless, but wireless is too slow and power hungry.
Yeah, I guess it just kind of messes with your mind. Being able to, like, I mean, that would totally work. You could like hold the lens wherever you wanted, and then use the phone as like your control center, just like we do here with the Panasonic GH4. I can control just about all the functions with an app on my Android device, which is pretty cool. I don't know. I still think it's a step down a direction that the camera market is going to go in. Not necessarily attaching things to phones, but having Android being used as an operating system for cameras. I think that's the next thing. I
think that's probably true about the operating system, because even something as nice as like a Red or a Black Magic running Android would make it a better device.
Right, it would make it a much easier to use device and just a better interface. And if you're bored, you could always play Angry Birds right there on your Red Epic. Just, DP's like over there jerking around. Everybody's like, what the hell is that guy doing? And he's like, oh, he's playing Star Wars Angry Birds again. And you're like, I knew we shouldn't have hired that guy. Anyway, so the 3D printers in space. Let me do that again. No, I shouldn't have done that again. 3D printers in space.
I only know pigs in space.
Why do they always do that in space thing that just goes on for way too long? Anyway, so NASA.
Jim Henson.
Is that Jim Henson? Muppets in Space?
I
thought Jim Henson was parodying somebody. Are we parodying a parody? Does that make us a parody parrot? We're parody parrots. Let's party like parody parrots. Well then, that was potentially preposterous. Enough things that start with P. Let's get back to plutonium. Never mind. I just wanted to make sure that this video gets marked, by whatever listening devices. Whatever.
Flagged for review. For review.
These guys are joking around about plutonium. This is serious. They're going to build an interocitor in their basement.
An interocitor, really? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think there's about 4 people out there who are going to get that, but maybe. Did it even run on plutonium?
We're going to learn how to make plutonium at home. All you need is a microwave oven, an egg beater, and a wooden spoon.
But don't forget your goggles. We've derailed. So NASA now has a 3D printer in space. And apparently this is... the cool thing here is now that whenever they need something, instead of having to send for it and having Houston, basically they should have a sort of a bazooka device that shoots it into the atmosphere, and they have to catch it. So instead of having to do that, they have to man those arms because it comes out of the atmosphere really fast, and they have to get on the little arms, and they have to make sure that the arm reaches out and like catches it. This is not true, but it is in my world. So anyway, this is just making it a lot easier. If they need a tool, they can just print it now. But another thing that's interesting about printing in outer space, now you can print really interesting objects because of zero gravity. So you can print way more intricate objects, apparently. And there's also other companies that are going to be working on these technologies. So it's not just NASA, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. And soon there will be a company working in outer space printing objects to send back to the Earth, but very complicated objects that can only be printed in zero gravity environments. Very interesting.
Well, I think a 3D printer on the space station makes sense because they can make all their stuff that way, and it would be amazing, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, just now the space station is going to be filled with all kinds of tacky plastic. All right, I don't know.
It has to be tacky because there's no gravity.
It's going to end up looking like freaking Barnacle-Lee's man cave or whatever he has. All of his tacky clips. Seriously, those clips are just tacky Barnacle-Lee's. Could you make me some? I would like some of those console controller holders. Those are really nice. Could you make me some? I'm just giving him hell right now for no reason. I don't even know why. Uh-oh. Come.
Perimeter alert.
Send it away, team. Don't even scan. Just send it away, team.
It's already been dealt with.
Red shirts, please. Red shirts. Send the red shirts. Immediately, number one, send all red shirts that are on crew, except keep one here in case someone beams aboard. All right. Propane has been made using E. coli. There's actually a use for E. coli. There's a lot of uses for E. coli. But the Imperial College in London has successfully made a type of propane. The first time ever that they've synthesized propane. Made it from E. coli. The stuff is complicated, but there's a whole article here you can read if you're really into that. But the bottom line here is that it's going to be similar to natural gas, and it will power a car, but the car will have to undergo like a $5,000 conversion thing. But stuff like this could potentially power cars. We could synthesize like a propane similar to like a natural gas. If you wanted to make like actual petrol or actual diesel, I guess the process would be so complicated and it would burn so much energy that it would actually be counterproductive. But this is something that they can do somewhat easily and not waste a bunch of energy and then have the cars going. So maybe in the future, instead of hydrogen, we're all going to be running on this, but I don't know.
I understood this to basically, basically this would produce propane that would be ready to go. And the conversion cost was to convert an internal combustion engine to run directly on propane or this artificial propane. I might have missed something, but I did not think that what this produces is basically 100% compatible with propane. So it turns out there's a lot of fleet vehicles like UPS delivery trucks here in the States. A significant percentage of those run on propane right now. Well, natural gas, but you can make it work.
Yeah, I thought for regular automobiles, I thought it was a pretty difficult conversion process, but I don't know. All right, let's go on.
Regular vehicles designed for internal combustion, but not regular vehicles designed for propane in the first place.
Right. That's the thing. The point is, like, most people out there that are driving on the road are not just going to be able to go and pump some of this fancy E. coli propane into their cars. It won't work until they have their cars converted. But yeah, the fleet vehicles and stuff that are already designed for propane, this is completely compatible, and it will immediately have an impact if they're able to produce it in mass quantities, and the energy costs are actually good. So it wouldn't be net loss. It would be okay. All right, let's talk about eggheads. Scientists have found a way to email brainwaves back and forth, and they've actually transmitted essentially thoughts back and forth by emailing them from one person to another using EEG devices. You wanted to give them a quick summary of EEG for anyone out there who does not know what that is?
EEG's electroencephalograph basically is just mounting sensors all over your head and then monitoring the waves that come from that. They can be a tremendously useful tool for, medically, there's all kinds of medical applications, but it turns out you can actually build your own EEG and use it for things. And I think there was a game company that made
right?
controller.
It was like a neural interface. You like look around in the world and or no, you wouldn't even look down. You look at the screen and if you think shoot, your character would shoot.
Yes,
it was
that's
pretty weird.
An electroencephalograph. But you can also use it for meditation. So, like if you're into meditation and relaxation and breathing exercises and that kind of thing, you can strap on a skull cap with these EEG sensors and look at your own brain waves and train your brain to calm down, which is actually really a handy thing to do. And so they've taken that one step further, and they're using, I guess, transcranial magnetic stimulation in the receiver. And so one person thinks something, and then the signal is transmitted over the internet to the receiver, and it's very, very, very rudimentary and very simplistic.
It's cumbersome.
But technically, thoughts are being transmitted over the internet now.
Yeah, well, it has to be. It has to hit a server, and then that server. Like one thing that was pretty interesting here is they were transmitting it between people who speak different languages, like someone who spoke French and someone who spoke, Hindi or whatever. I believe it was. I'm not even sure what it says here. I think they might have said Indian or whatever. I don't know. Someone in India, someone in France, and then it was hitting the server, being translated, and then sent back to them. So it was like one person was hearing "ciao," and then the other person. Isn't that Italian? Or is that also French? I don't even know.
No, it was. The only thing they really transmitted was literally ones and zeros. Like, they were looking at something, and it was literally, this is a 1, this is a 0. And then the other person was like, I think this is a 1, I think this is a 0. And then they put it back in together in a message. So it's not even really coherent thought. It's just the
bits
signal.
Of data.
So this is not even, Alexander Graham Bell telling his assistant, Watson, come here. It's not even that. This is like Alexander Graham Bell pressing a button and Watson hearing a buzzer. That's really what this is.
But it worked. So, I mean, let's just fast forward 15 years. We've got the robots, thanks to Google's quantum brain, that know pretty much everything. We've got the facial recognition technology that can pick up on our thoughts and ideas and emotions through just our external micro expressions. And then we've got robots who are able to read our thoughts. This is all going to happen. I promise. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to go down to the basement. I have to build a basement so I can build this stuff. I don't have a basement.
I'm surprised this hasn't been militarized by DARPA so that they can read the brains of the terrorists in Gitmo to know their grandma's cookie recipes. I mean, their next terrorist plot.
They don't want to know what their brains say. They're having way too much fun, like stripping them naked and slapping them with water hoses and stuff. They don't want to know what they're thinking. Then they wouldn't be able to beat. If they already knew it, they wouldn't be able to beat it out of them, and that's no fun at all.
Well, they can still be paranoid about whether or not they're telling the truth because reasons.
You're thinking lies. You are thinking lies. Yeah, that's. Well, I don't know. Well, this show just went off into some Alex Jones territory. Screw that guy.
Sorry, we don't mean to. It's just that there's a lot of crap.
But we're having fun here. I mean, sometimes it's like. It's fun to just go with it and be silly, but I know that a lot of the nonsense that comes out of my mouth is real.
Like your $17,000 tripod, because we got a lot of hate mail about that.
Yeah, people are like, I can't believe you spent $70,000 on a tripod. I said the name of the tripod. I held it up in front of me, and if anyone Googled it, they would have seen that it was not $17,000. It was just more than I've ever spent on a tripod before. I mean, if you went to Best Buy and said, hey, can I have that tripod? They'd be like, for like an hour. But yeah. Anyway. Google is investing heavily in anti-aging. So they're working with Calico, and they put up to $1.5 billion total. But so far they've put $500 million into anti-aging. This is going to do, I guess maybe the research that they're looking at right now is just for, they're looking to study a lot of the things that happen in old age to understand it better. So that'll give them a better, a better way to, I guess, treat aging. Because if you look at aging as a disease, maybe you can treat it.
That's exactly what they're. That's exactly what they're doing. Things, genetic manipulation, vitamins, whatever they can to prolong their longevity. And it's going to happen sooner or later. It's just interesting that this is coming out of a tech giant as opposed to, you know, a medical research company. Then again, do I really trust Big Pharma to do this? Probably not. I mean, they're basically a borderline criminal organization, so maybe Google doing this is better.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about games for just a little bit. If you guys have not seen Valve's Employee Handbook, you should definitely go and take a look at this. It's pretty ridiculous. It's actually a really, really awesome handbook. You need a handbook like this. Some of these infographics look like a lot of the infographics you have hanging there in the office.
This is definitely not a new leak, but it's making the rounds on the internet again, so we thought we would share it just because you guys might not know about it. And it's full of little in jokes and lots of clever things. And there's even a thing in there that says, "Don't ask about Half-Life 3."
It's because they have a team working in a bunker deep under the earth, not unlike the bunker used in Half-Life 1. And they're working on Half-Life 3.
They've painted themselves into a corner with Half-Life because even if you, at the end of Half-Life 2, even if you win, you still lose. And so it's existentially depressing, and I'm not sure that they could recover the story in a satisfying way from that.
You know, they could just go the other direction and have like Mario and Duke Nukem show up and then turn it into some stupid game where they just integrate a bunch of major IPs like that and just make it completely all out bad. And Duke Nukem should be the lead character. You know, aliens, I'm going to pee on them. Because that's what you do. Right. Let's talk about a little problem that the developers behind the sequel to The Longest Journey and Dreamfall have been having. So let me just go ahead and open up their Kickstarter page here to give you guys a little bit more information. So The Longest Journey and Dreamfall, I'll give you a bit of backstory on that. They were two really interesting click adventure games made by Red Thread Games. And they decided to have they decided to raise some money on Kickstarter for a newer version. And here's that game, right? It's called Dreamfall Chapters. These were actually really good games. I highly recommend that you guys go check out The Longest Journey. Dreamfall was also pretty good. I played them both, but I didn't play all the way through Dreamfall. But and it has a strong female protagonist. Go screw yourself, Anita Sarkeesian. And it's just a decent. They were just decent games. They had full scores already, and this one they already had a full score, and they paid someone to create music, and they decided they would do something fun. They would have a contest, and they just wanted people from the audience to make bits of music and sounds and that sort of thing, and they would use them for little pieces of the game. They already paid someone to do this professionally, and apparently the music industry freaked out, and there was a huge controversy, and some people thought that they were trying to just extort the audience for free, to get free, content and that sort of thing. And they've officially taken down the music contest. So that's kind of sad. I mean, I guess it can be seen as exploitative, and you look at it from the sense that, hey, let's get the audience to do our work for us. But it's not like they were trying to get the audience to do the entire score. They already hired someone and paid them to write a nice, beautiful, orchestrated thing. They were just trying to give the audience the ability to hear their music in a game, and that's how they spun it. And yeah, there's been a lot of issues with video game music lately. I've heard some bad things about different unions and that sort of thing as far as how they are with video game music, but that could be a separate video all on its own. Anyway,
well, it's also true. It's also true that the visual effects industry is one of the few that is not unionized, and that bleeds over into video game production in a lot of scenarios. And the situation here is that, people that were saying, oh, we need to protect the music industry is already broken. It's on its way to healing because of the internet and the removal of middleman distribution networks and things like that. I mean, the RIAA and the MPAA are fundamentally broken organizations that do not belong in a modern world. And this is not part of that problem with the recording industry. And anyone that thinks that it is, I would be interested to see what their argument is, because I don't believe that those things are even two sides of the same coin. I think that those things are so far away from one another that it's just completely absurd to say that you know, this is bad because it's bad for the music industry. It's a race to the bottom and artists will never be paid. It's like, well, no, I'm not sure that that's true at all. Some people just do things because it's fun or it's interesting or it's a hobby. It's not necessarily that everything that you do has a commercial interest. Some people just want to do for the sake of doing. And I think with it, that you have games like this, I mean, that's you know, that have this cult following. Some people just want to participate in the project. And I think that this is not like some of the stuff that you see in commercial industries, like the VFX industry, where it's like, do all this work and we might use you for this TV show, or do all this work and we might use it in the movie, but if we don't use it in the movie, you don't get paid. That to me is exploitative. But this is, you know, just some fans wanting to do some interesting stuff, and I think they were upfront about it and honest with it, so I don't think they should be punished for that.
Oh, well, it is what it is. And that's, if you guys have seen anybody online with a little green thumbnail on any of their profiles, that's them protesting, you know, like the whole Hollywood and, you know, visual effects people not getting paid enough on all that. Anyway, let's talk about Ouya for just 1 second. Ouya has been somewhat of a failure in the USA. Didn't sell very well. Didn't have. I think the big problem there is they didn't have any big games to sell the system, because the only reason any console exists is because some stupid game comes out that everyone has to have, so they have to go out and buy this stupid box that's proprietary. Well, that was the problem here with the Ouya. You know, they have their platform, and it's Android, of course. You know, so it's not even that exclusive or that special. They're not running They're not running like the PlayStation OS or whatever the hell those things run on. It's just, you know, a version of Android that's the Ouya version of Android. They didn't have any major system selling games, and now they're like not doing so hot. So right now they're trying to find someone to buy them out, and something good just happened that could be in their favor. China, they've had a huge ban on consoles. I don't agree on bans of anything, but I guess if you're going to ban something, that would be cool. I'm just being a jackass right now. Why do you hate consoles? I can hear people talking right now. Just go ahead, type away. I love it.
We can mock consoles without ad hominem attacks.
We have good science behind all of our attacks on consoles. Backed it up using the scientific method. Anyway, so it looks like they are shopping themselves around to a number of Chinese companies, because now that consoles are once again allowed in China, it may be a good market for them, but not in the sense of like, hey, let's bring the Ouya to China. I think what's going to happen is they're going to start integrating their software into lots of different devices, which probably is what they should have done in the first place. I don't know. Anyway, so there's that. So if you're in China, maybe you can look into getting a device in the future that has the Ouya software on it as a gaming platform.
I vaguely remember one of our very early videos that talked about this, and we said, we think this is going to fail because, one, Android's not a gaming platform, at least not like this, not that people would want to do in the living room. And two, if you build it, they will come, seems to be their whole mantra that they're banking on, but they built it, and in fact, they did not come.
There was no reason. So. I mean, they built it, but it was a big empty building. You show up and you're like, "Hey, where's the fruit punch and the crackers?" And they're like, "Ooh, we don't have those yet. We've been talking to a number of fruit punch and cracker developers, but they don't know if they're going to make anything for us or not." So that was the problem.
It could be a home theater PC, and it's like, I got news for you: Roku, Chromecast, and Apple TV beat you there. Really. I mean, it's a cheaper device that's more functional. So I mean, there's that. So this is not surprising in the least.
I mean, what they were doing with Ouya could be done on almost any of the modern Android devices, especially some of the more powerful ones. So I don't know why it needed to be its own special little box. That's the thing that always bothered me. I don't know why a lot of the consoles need to be their own special little box in this day and age. Computer hardware is becoming so similar. I think the Sony is the most unique one out of all of them. At least it was in the PS3 form. In PS4 form, it's pretty much a PC. You guys are all using PC. I don't know why it has to be a closed platform like that, except for walled gardens and stupid people who buy into that sort of thing. Anyway, Wasteland 2 is almost out. Just wanted to say that. That's all. There's a trailer here. I'm very excited about this. If you guys have not seen Wasteland 2, it is essentially what Fallout 3 should have been. Because Fallout 2 was this sort of a game. Sort of a top-down. Is this top-down or is it isometric? I believe it's isometric. Go ahead. Show the damn game instead of all this stuff. There we go. Yeah, it's isometric. So yeah, it's this is the way Fallout 1 and 2 were. Very good games, turn-based combat. Like the entire combat was VATS. It wasn't just run around. It wasn't just, Skyrim with guns. So yeah, if you guys are looking for a post-apocalyptic game with some interesting strategy and combat, I would recommend checking this one out. And last but not least, be sure to keep an eye on our game deals. It's techsyndicate.com/game deals. Let's see what we've got on here now. Destiny. There's a console game being advertised on our website. I'm going to have to call deals on.
We know that some of you will never come over from the dark side. It's fine.
But Destiny, the FOV is like 20. It's like playing with a set of binoculars on. It's awful. Anyway, I don't know. It may be a good game. Maybe it'll come to PC. But if you really want to play it on the platform of your choice and you have those platforms, then by all means, we've got some deals for you here. But there's also lots of PC game deals, as you can see, and lots of $5 deals, even on Uplay. We got Rayman Origins. I highly recommend Rayman Origins. Oh, let me put it back on the screen. I highly recommend Rayman Origins, despite the DRM of Uplay. Steam is DRM as well. Let's not forget. So, lots of interesting games here. The Grand Theft Auto trilogy. Is anything else I would recommend? I do recommend the Metro games. Torchlight 2 was kind of fun. It was a little bit too clicky for me. I liked it better than Diablo 3, though, which somehow got really high on PC Gamer's Best Games Ever list, and Diablo 2 did not. I don't know.
See, Diablo 3, tell me why this is wrong. Diablo 3 is Diablo 2 do-over with better graphics.
You think it was really that?
What's the innovation there? Well, I mean, yeah. What's the innovation there?
Yeah, really. I guess it really was. I've heard that it's been better since the expansions and all that, but I don't know.
I haven't played the expansion. I played launch day Diablo for about a week, and I was like, this would be a fun if I just wanted to kill time and didn't have anything better to do. This would be a fun thing to kill time with. But after that, it was like, this isn't genuine. It's like I'd rather go play that obscure side quest that I missed in Fallout 3 New Vegas.
Exactly, which I'm probably going to go do right now, as a matter of fact. So that's it for this week. We've got a lot of hardware stuff coming up, a lot of fun coming up, and we've got the Maker Faire coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So just tons of fun, guys. Stay tuned for it all. And thanks for being awesome. Thanks again for the tech support. And thanks to everyone who's been supportive of us. It's the only reason we're here doing what we do. So we will see you guys in the next video.